Hey everyone, welcome to another edition, a bonus edition rather, of Sports Talk Philadelphia. I'm your host Josh Abrams, and I have Kevin Cook, Tegan Lamont, and filling in for Trevor from Sixers Talk is Elvis Chalakis. Let's get right into it, guys. The Phillies are 10-7 on the season. They have swept a few series here and there and have shown promise in some games. Tegan, I believe you said during the regular show that if you had asked them, 10-7 in 17 games is a pretty good start. 17 games in, we just took 1 out of 3 with the Braves. How are you guys feeling about the Phillies right now?
I mean, overall, they had a good road trip. Against the Braves, they haven't played as great as one would hope, but they competed in each of those, in every single one of those games. So it's nice to see that they're playing relevant baseball right now, and they're putting together a nice stats all down the line. I mean, whether it's the hitting, the pitching's played really well for them of late, and the batting is actually coming around right now. And as long as the pitchers give them quality starts, I think that they're going to continue to be in most of these games.
Yeah, going off what you said there, I think that the biggest surprise for me is that bottom end of the rotation and the way they've been pitching. The guys like Pivetta and even Velasquez has had 3 straight quality starts. I think the pitching is what is keeping this team afloat while they figure out the bats. Like Kevin said, the bats are starting to come alive. Franco and Odubel are starting to hit the ball really well. But I think that they still need to come through a little bit more. There's a lot of guys on base that aren't scoring in situations that they probably should be. So I think overall it's a pretty solid start. I wouldn't call it a good start. I wouldn't call it a bad start, but it's an average start probably.
Yeah, just like Tegan said, I feel it's a solid start. I mean, we start pretty good in April, and then we have to see how well we do in the later section of the season. But I feel like with this team, they are doing something that this team hasn't been doing for a couple of years, and that is beating these bad teams like the Rays and the Reds. We were able to sweep both of those series, and we were able to beat these bad teams. I know it sounds cheesy, but good teams beat those bad teams, and we weren't able to do that a couple of years ago. So, and especially like Tegan said, the pitching has been quality starts, including Pivetta, who has pitched good in the spring training, and he's now translating that into the regular season. And of course, the hitting, it's good, and we were a lot more disappointed at the plate as well. And I feel like, there are some mistakes. Maybe we're leaving some runners in scoring position. Maybe we're striking out. But so far, I feel like it's a pretty good year. So far, and we have to see how well that goes.
Sorry about that, but
no,
like you were saying, the pitching is actually playing really well right now. All the pitchers are. They're being very efficient. What is it? I think they're 6th or 8th in the MLB in pitches per plate appearance, and they're only throwing 3.8 pitches to each at bat, which is in tops of the league. Mm-hmm. And going again back to the hitters, they're giving them quality run support. We're 8th in the MLB in run support with 5.18 runs per game, and a lot of that is also coming from, like Elvis just said, the fact that we are taking. We're more disciplined at the plate. We're 2nd in the league in walks, I believe. When we get there, we're doing something that normally the Phillies don't do, and that's stealing bases. Hoskins has 3. I think Kingery has 2. A couple of other people, Cesar I think has 2 as well. And we're 4th in the league in stolen bases with 14 of them. And these are things that the Phillies traditionally did not really do in years past.
Yeah, I think one guy that's getting the short end of that stick, though, on the pitching staff is Nola. I said before the season that he's a dark horse for the Cy Young in the NL, and he's pitching like he is a Cy Young candidate so far. The problem is he's gotten kind of gypped out of 2 wins. He got yanked from that first game of the year by Kapler, which I don't even want to talk about that game. And then he had that game, the start against Tehran this past week, where he gives up 1 or 2 runs through 6 2/3 or something, and then the Phils only put up 1 run for him. I mean, it's a guy who, Nola himself is a guy who I really think this team is going to rely on for a long time. I think he's going to be a really solid piece, probably the best player on the team, honestly, at this point.
Yeah, and looking at the offense, as we've alluded to, and as you said earlier, Tegan, there are 2 players that have been with the Phillies the longest out of this young core. Odubel Herrera and Michael Franco. They're having completely different seasons in 2018 compared to their recent years. Odubel, the batting average is starting to creep down a little bit, but nevertheless, he's batting over 300. He leads the team in hits with 20. I don't know if it's a different approach or if it's just a different mentality when he gets up to the plate, but he seems to be playing much better this year than probably the best start to a season in his career.
He's been bouncing around the lineup a little bit there, but overall, those are pretty good numbers from Odubel. I mean, he might be among the tops in the teams in at bats as well, and that might be the reason why he's got the most hits on the team. But as of late, he's really been turning it on. He's been hitting for average, a very good average at that, over that road trip that we just got done. And yeah, I mean, he's really turning it around and playing well. And I think I'm interested to see, because normally this is what we see from him, and then we see him going into a long slump. But with a better lineup around him, I think that he might be able to keep this pace up.
Yeah, one thing that I really think is key is he's now hitting in that 3-hole in the lineup with a lot of protection behind him. He's got Hoskins, he's got Santana, who's another guy that I really want to talk about.
And he's got
Kingery. There's depth in the lineup,
and he's got good people in front of him too.
Yeah,
and
right.
I expect for that RBIs.
He's got a good supporting cast all around him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I guess I'll just talk about Santana now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Santana is having a rough year numbers-wise. He's only hitting 136 with 2 bombs and 10 ribbies. But Gabe Kapler said that it's the unluckiest start in baseball that he's ever seen. He's hitting the ball hard. His hard hit rate is 52%, which is 17th in baseball. And his average on those hard hit balls is 208. The MLB average on hard hit balls is 509. So he is really, really getting unlucky. He's hit 6 balls to the warning track in center field in Citizens Bank Park already this year. So there's a lot to look for out of Carlos Santana that we're not getting right now. We may not get it in the numbers, but he's not having a bad start. There's a lot of talk about, why is Carlos Santana slumping to start the year? It's just bad luck. It's just the way baseball is sometimes.
And to that, I think there was a game, he smacked the ball to the outfield a couple times. And off the bat, it looked like a home run. Right. But the wind was just blowing so hard, whichever field he hit it in, it was blowing in so hard that it basically took away 2 home runs from him.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember even when I'm not able to watch the games, I get, you get the notifications and it says I always see, maybe not always, but it's very often that I see Carlos Santana, grounds into a double play, or Carlos Santana hits a sac fly. Like, as you said, the low batting average isn't the type he's not getting it in the same way that we would think, someone like Odubel or Michael or anyone like that would get it.
Right. He's hitting the ball hard right at guys. He's not striking out a ton. He's not having bad plate appearances all the time. He's just getting unlucky.
I just personally think that we got to wait until the weather gets warmer, because hitters usually warm up when he gets warmer, so we have to see how he does,
Yeah.
Yeah, and something that's been really catching my eye, especially recently, is Rhys Hoskins struggling. He's kind of been in a slump the past couple of games, especially in that Braves series. He definitely did not look like himself. But other than we're looking for him to be our offensive leader, and we just need him to start stepping up. What do you guys think about that?
Well, he started off the year on fire, but I think he's going to regress a little, because you can't. It's very tough to remain at like the 400 average that he had with the last time it happened. It was like Ted Williams.
Yeah.
So not only do you got to be like an outstanding ball player, but it's rare to happen. And on top of that, I don't think he's struggling. He came up huge for us in the one game that we were able to take away from Atlanta, and in extra innings, he battles, and he smacks a double in the was it right field and 2 runs scored.
Yeah,
and,
he hit it opposite. Yeah,
and like I said,
impressive.
He's leading the team in stolen bases. Like, he's doing a lot for this team, and he's playing at a very high rate. And he needs to be the catalyst in a way for this team, the guy that sets the pace for us.
And he kind of is the catalyst, like you said, but I personally feel like, you know, with players, rookies, they come up and they do good the first year, but then the sophomore, you get the sophomore slump. Yeah, exactly. So I'm thinking like Brees might be going for like a stage of that, but I personally feel like he's still doing what we expect him to do on the field, and when he's batting and he's taking pitches. He's stealing bags, which I never thought I would see before, but you know, it's still, you know, he's very young. He still has a lot of baseball left to play, so we have to see what kind of package we get with Reese.
Yeah, one thing with him is you know that he's going to give you good at-bats, like I was talking about Santana. He's not a guy that's going to go up there. He's going to strike out a ton, but he's going to make the pitcher throw 7, 8 pitches in that at-bat because he knows the zone so well. He's like the combination of the Judge type of player and like a Joey Votto put together. He's a guy that knows the zone and can control his zone, but also is going to swing through a lot of pitches and miss. So it's a good thing with him to see him struggle a little bit, I guess. I mean, you know, if he's struggling walking a lot and not hitting home runs all the time, he still has that approach, and the approach is what's key with him. The approach is going to get him the home runs and the doubles and the RBIs. That's pretty much where I stand with him.
Yeah, so, you know, it's definitely a positive start. That obviously we're above 500, and you know, we're going to be looking for the Phillies to continue to maybe not play at the highest rate because they are a young team, but a good team nevertheless that has a lot of potential. We thank you for tuning in to this special bonus edition of Sports Talk Philadelphia, and we will catch you guys next week.